Good evening, YouTube, and welcome to a new video and a new topic. Sorry, got the hiccups. Sorry I wasn't with you last night. Our power went out in Los Angeles. Oof. This is going to be a fun live stream, I'll tell you that. Today I'm talking about playing pretty. This idea was kind of brought to my attention by a mentor to me named Doug Webb. He is a very well-known saxophonist out here in LA. Let's see if I can get some help here. Ugh. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, Doug Webb is a saxophonist out here in LA, and he has played on hundreds of recordings, and he's very well known. You'd probably recognize him if you heard him. Anyway, I started studying with him at the beginning of college when I would be home for the summers or Christmas break or things like that. And he always shared this idea of playing pretty with me. And what that means is playing as beautifully and lyrically, as melodically as possible, and really throwing away all of the extraneous noise that one usually plays in their solos, so that it's just the bare bones, really easy to digest, really easy to listen to, and very enjoyable and pretty. So it may seem like something that you're stooping to, a level you're stooping to, but it's really actually a skill to develop, because when you can play pretty, you're adding a new tool to your toolbox. You are developing a skill that will help you in some of those situations where you don't quite know what else to play. Let's say you're playing a gig with a singer and they just sung their heart out on a ballad, and your solo is up next. What are you going to do? Play double time over the whole thing and play like Train? Let me take a step back here. Train could play pretty. His ballads recordings are beautiful. His playing with Johnny Hartman is beautiful. And Train could do both. So I guess, but when I say play like Train, I mean like play like Coltrane changes over everything. Play super intense and out on everything. And that's just sometimes not appropriate. And oftentimes, as we musicians like to do, we like to practice the really fun, hip stuff. And that stuff, more often than not, doesn't get us the gigs. It's the really simple, melodic playing, the stuff that people can understand. Now, somebody like Doug Webb, who shared this idea with me, he has a lot of followers. He has people who come out to his gigs. And the last few times at the Baked Potato he's played, the gigs have been sold out. I mean, there's got to be a reason that people want to hear him play. He can do all the out stuff, but he always finds a way to reel it back in and play things that people can digest, things that people enjoy. And don't get me wrong, he plays out on his gigs. He plays really hip stuff, but it's always within the context of a more digestible experience for the listener. So how do you practice playing pretty? Now, this really involves playing the changes, knowing how to play the changes. And I talk a little bit about that in my other video on playing the changes, in the How to Play Jazz Like a Pro video. And playing pretty is really outlining the chords you're on and making melody of it. Being aware of your phrasing, having complementary phrases. You know, you have the question and then you have the answer. And it's my intention to make more videos on these concepts in a more in-depth way. This is just kind of an overview, but playing pretty is so, so important. And even if you decide not to play pretty on a gig or in your own context or however you decide to play, I think you will find that those elements of playing pretty, practicing playing pretty in that way, is going to help your overall playing in general, because you're developing a larger awareness of what could be done on your instrument. You know, there's that old story about some big piece of machinery isn't working, so they call a specialist to come in, and he pulls out his hammer and he just boonk, and the machine is fixed. And he says, okay, that'll be $10,000. And the owner of the machine is like, oh, are you kidding me? $10,000 for that? And why do you charge so much? And the guy's, well, you only hit it once with a hammer. And the guy said, yes, I may have hit it once with a hammer, but I knew where to hit. So I kind of lost my train of thought there, but that's okay. The whole point there is that you're developing this grand overarching awareness of what you could play in the moment, and you're kind of like that guy with the hammer. It's just finding the right thing to play at the right time. You wait and you listen for the moment, and then you play what you know is right. That's where your intuition guides you. And by learning to play pretty, you're not resorting to all these really easy tendencies to play licks or play double time on everything. When I was in college, me and my friends, we would say prestige DTOE, and that meant prestige train, like Coltrane during his years on the Prestige label. DTOE means double time over everything. So he's like, prestige train, DTOE. And I mean, that's so fun. It's so fun to go after that, and it's great. And I there's still parts of me that still want to work on, like, just double time over everything, just burning jazz over everything. And that's fun, but you have to be able to play pretty and balance out the spectrum. And my teacher, Doug Webb, has talked with me about this idea of playing in extremes. So what you do is you put on a play along or something, and this is when you're practicing, because when you're on the gig, you want to just let the moment sing and exist on its own. But when you're practicing, you want to try putting on a play along and play the first chorus really pretty as possible, and then play the second chorus in a gnarly, aggressive, double time, just chops, chops, chops. And what you do is you go back and forth, chorus after chorus, and you just develop these extremes. And what happens is that when you play in a live performance setting, you find that your voice kind of naturally settles somewhere in between the two extremes. The more that you expose yourself to the two extremes, the more balanced you will be as a player. So playing pretty, it's very important, and I think it's something that everybody should work on, because it's harder than you think. It's harder than you think to play beautifully and play wonderful melodies. So that's it for me today. If you liked this video or any of my other videos, please like and subscribe to my channel. I put out a new video just about every day. And if you have any ideas about this video, or any things you want to add or ask, please leave it in the comments below. Or if you have any suggestions about videos or topics that you'd like me to do, let me know as well. And I think that's it for me today. I'm glad my hiccups subsided, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Goodbye.